Reddit stories.
My husband sat me down to tell me he needs more intimacy and touch in our relationship. I've been making attempts, but he is continually rejecting me. We've been together for 8 years, married for 4. We have a 2.5-year-old. Like a lot of couples, we struggled when our baby was born. We've been trying to talk more lately and have been working on mending our relationship. We're both in individual therapy and are going to attend couples therapy once we can find a therapist. I'm somewhere on the asexual spectrum. I enjoy sex when I'm having it, but I don't really crave it or want it like most people. I honestly don't notice when months have gone by with no sex. My husband has a pretty low libido as well. At our best, we were having sex a couple of times a month, and we're both happy with that. That said, we spent a lot of time together going out on dates, cuddling on the couch, etc. We lost that between the baby and the pandemic. It's been a tough couple of years for us. He didn't step up the way he should have with parenting and household duties. But he has acknowledged it, and we're working on getting a good balance of responsibilities between us now. My resentment for that contributed to me not wanting to be intimate in any way with him. I felt like his mom, and that wasn't sexy. We're both working to get our connection back. The other night we had a big talk, and basically he said he feels touch-starved. We agreed that it was on both of us, and we both need to make more of an effort. It's hard because in the last couple years, when I did reach out, he rejected it. I remember the night when I just stopped trying. I had a hard night, and I really needed some support. I reached out for a hug, and he gave me a quick light squeeze, and then dropped his arms and just stood there. I kept hugging him, and it felt like he was just waiting for it to be over. It was so heartbreaking for me. This was after a long time of him saying, "That's uncomfortable," after 20 seconds of holding my hand, or "My shoulder hurts." While he shrugged me off when I leaned my head on him. I told him all of this a few months ago, and said I needed him to step up in initiating touch since I feel very rejected. Yesterday, I made an effort to create some connection. When I got home from work, he was watching videos with our son. I sat down on the couch with them and asked about his day. While I was telling him about my day, he pulled out his phone and didn't notice when I trailed off. He was passing by me later on, and I went in for a hug. He dodged it and said he needed to use the bathroom. After our son went to sleep, he immediately turned the TV on. When the other day, he said he wanted to have more conversation with me. He made no effort to touch me in any way. Today, when I came downstairs, after putting our son to bed, he was watching a video on his phone. I sat down right next to him and leaned in to cuddle. He didn't look up from his phone and didn't react in any way. I stayed there for a minute. But it was clear that he wasn't going to interact, so I got up to do my own thing. I just don't get it. I don't know how to fix this. How do I get him to understand that he plays a huge role in our lack of intimacy? My husband wants me to touch him more. But when I try to, he rejects me. I can't figure out what's going on and need advice on how to talk to him about it.
Reddit stories. I think the activities he does are saying something. The ones named here are watching videos, turning on and watching TV, and playing on his phone. These are all activities in which depressed people engage a lot. Activities which require little to no social energy and which blend out the real world. Depending on what games he plays, there might be very little thinking required as well. Like shutting your brain off and just letting time drift by while relaxing. It is actually possible to feel starved of something, but actually fulfilling that need is also not really what you want. Kind of like saying that you feel starved for some super tasty food you could cook and are genuinely missing it. But while you really feel that way, you also don't find the energy or will to stand in the kitchen and cook said food. Because using the microwave is just more convenient and a lot faster. It sounds like it might be the same here. He is touch-starved, but touch comes with the need to actually engage with his wife. No more shutting your brain down with TV. But instead making conversation, spending social energy and therefore having to pay a price for the touch. Much like described it in the situation where she needed support. And he didn't even hug you back just so that he could escape the situation sooner. He either doesn't want to, or can't invest the energy right now. So he remains touch-starved out of his own will, sort of. The question is, what is going on? I can think of several possibilities. As mentioned above, he might really be depressed and feel so utterly exhausted from just functioning for his child that he has zero energy to also interact with his wife in a way that is a normal exchange and which is what you will naturally expect. In this case, he needs treatment for depression first. He might feel like getting touched comes with some sort of drawback, which is, subjectively, too much for him. And it might be something ridiculously small, like wanting to make conversation while cuddling. He says he's touch-starved and nothing else, not conversation-starved or anything. Maybe he fears that taking the offered touches will result in something he doesn't want to happen. Maybe situations like wanting a hug after a hard day made him associate these things with being required to be a support for her. Note, I'm not saying that he shouldn't be that. Because he absolutely should, she's his wife, after all. And him not hugging her back when she needs it is absolutely heartbreaking. But for whatever reason, he didn't do that, and the question is why. Touch-starved can actually mean a lot. It doesn't have to be big things like cuddles. Maybe it would be better to start smaller if the big things seem too big after having been absent for so long. Maybe it's about starting with semi-accidentally brushing hands against each other. Maybe he really only feels touch-starved in very specific moments, but then really feels it. Like he's fine 95% of the day and doesn't want to be touched then because he's over-touched by the sun or whatever. But when the other 5% happen, he really suffers. But then, might not be available. Whatever the reason is. The fact that he's not communicating is the big thing here. Because that's why it's blind guessing in the first place. It's impossible to help him if no one knows what the matter is. Does he need depression treatment or does he have burnout? Does he need to start with smaller touches or does he just need assurance that beyond touches, nothing else is required of him? Does he always feel touch-starved or only sometimes? If it's only sometimes, is there a pattern? If not, how can he communicate his sudden need better? I think the main key here is communication. All the situation where you just walked up to him and tried to initiate something and he didn't react or dodged it. So that's not the way to go, at least not in the beginning. Given how the connection seems to have been lost for some time, and you're only now re-establishing it, I would suggest maybe treating matters like a newly dating couple, where being slow and careful and asking for permission comes first. Expecting to just continue from where they once were is, obviously, not working. Baby steps are needed and a lot of talking. Reddit stories.